Hey guys, what's going on? Kevin Yates here, functionaltrainingcoach.com, here with another question from a reader named Maddie. Maddie had an interesting question about an SI joint problem, so a sacroiliac joint problem. Anybody who's had SI joint problems, you know what I'm talking about, the irritation, the pain that you get. If you're not really familiar with it, or if you have some kind of problems around the area of the lower back or around your hip, right back in kind of through this area, almost by your tailbone, and you don't know what it is, this is a video that you want to watch. So that's really what the SI joint is. It's where the pelvis and your sacrum, which is like we often refer to as our tailbone, it's where those two bones come together. There's a joint. So in that joint, there's ligaments that help to stabilize the pelvis. So when we're lifting things or we're moving, the pelvis doesn't fall apart. It creates stability for us and gives us a platform to move from. So interestingly enough, Maddie's got irritation of the SI joint. He also had torn one of his adductor muscles. So the adductors are a group of muscles that help bring the leg, they're inner thigh muscles. So they bring your leg toward the midline of your body, or when you're standing, like when you're walking, they help to keep your pelvis over the leg that you're on, so that you don't fall over. So here's the thing. Now, Maddie, you're describing that you tore one of your adductor muscles, but you say that you release it. So like you're doing some kind of stretching to release that muscle. It feels better for a little bit, but then the pain always comes back. So one of the things that I look at is if you tore a muscle, if a muscle's torn, I would not want to stretch it because it's already in a weakened state from the tear. And if you stretch a muscle like that, you can make things worse. Now, there is an exception. If you have some kind of adhesions, scar tissue that's built up, then yeah, you can stretch it to kind of break those things up. But other than that, I wouldn't be stretching that because it can make the problem worse. Secondly, if there's weakness in that adductor, if you've never properly rehabbed it or strengthened it, the adductors might be a little bit weak trying to keep the pelvis over your weight-bearing leg, which causes instability. And so when you have instability there, then basically you have the pelvis, like I said, and the sacrum, and there's instability. They can shift up and down like that. They can go in and out. They call like out flares, where one can kind of go over the other, and just all kinds of different issues can happen. They all cause pain, basically. Now, the adductors have to work with the abductors, the glutes, the muscles in your hips that help to lock your pelvis down. So these adductors and abductors are designed to work together. Again, though, a lot of times when there's weakness in one, there tends to be some weakness in the other. So you could have like an issue of the whole, what I call the hip complex, which is these muscles. And there's other muscles in there, but I'm just, for the sake of the video, trying to keep it to within a reasonable length, because I tend to go on and on sometimes on these things. Anyways, so that's what we're dealing with there. So you mentioned now that you release. That means that you're stretching. You didn't say that you're strengthening anything. So I would always make sure, if we just stretch something, yes, it could temporarily feel better, but if we don't strengthen what I call the weak links in the body, it's never going to get better. It'll always be like this on again, off again pain cycle, where it always goes away and then it comes back, goes away, comes back. That's where a lot of people get stuck with, and they're out there seeing doctors and chiropractors and physical therapists, getting adjustments, getting cortisone shots, getting all this shit done that doesn't work, and they stay in pain because nobody's identifying the weak links in the body and showing them how to properly rehab and strengthen these areas so that the pain actually goes away. So those are, that's like the big thing that stands out. Now, here's a couple other things you want to look at. Another one is the other complex that I call the abdominal complex. Now, we have the hips, the muscles around, like I was talking about, the adductors and abductors that help to stabilize the pelvis. But another thing is looking at what people commonly call the core, right? Abs. We look at that. Now, there's a lot of different muscles in the core. It's not just your abs, but there are a lot of different muscles that are part of this core that help to stabilize the pelvis as well. If the core is weak, if the abdominal complex is weak, then there's going to be problems with stabilizing the hips in the pelvis, okay? So it's kind of like looking at, two sides of, the same coin. We've got the abdominal complex on one end that helps to stabilize the pelvis. We've got the glutes, adductors on the other end that help to stabilize it with the hamstrings, all this stuff going on. So again, we've got to identify where the weak links are. Otherwise, we're just trying stretches and strengthening this and stretching that and doing this and that. And it's kind of like, throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks, right? You hope to God something works. But we want to take a more kind of, scientific type approach to this, right? A more structured approach to identifying what's going on. That way we know what to do. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, lastly, the thing I want to address, and this is something that so many people overlook because we're always looking on the outside. We're always looking at the physical things. We want to stretch, we want to strengthen, we want to foam roll, massage, and get, treatments done and adjustments done. We're always looking at muscles and joints, but very, very rarely are we looking at deeper issues that are often significant contributors to pain, especially SI joint pain. The other thing you want to look at, what I'm talking about here, is anything that you are eating, anything in your diet that tends to irritate the digestive system. Because when you irritate the digestive system, a lot of times you will get a pain response in areas like the lower back and or the SI joint. So what I'm just saying to you here is that we can try to treat the muscles and do all this stuff, but if the body doesn't really respond well to it, we need to look deeper. If there's anything in the diet that's causing irritation of the digestive system, that can reflex back into pain into the SI joint, it will never go away until we clear the inflammation up in the diet as well. So hopefully that makes sense, Maddie. Anybody out there who is watching, hopefully that helps you out as well. So again, if you have any questions, post them below, let me know, email, get on the blog, write, contact me through Facebook as well if you need to. And other than that, I'm going to let you go now. I'm going to take off. It's this rainy day out here. It's so gloomy out, so I apologize if you hear that rain in the background, that noise. Don't tell me that I need to get a better editing camera or I need to edit the sound better or this or that. This is not a high production thing when I do these videos. I do not have a professional camera crew behind the scenes. What you see is what you get. The only thing I care about is getting the information to you. That's what I'm here to do. I'm not here to polish and do everything fancy. I do apologize if it was a little bit of feedback in there, but bear with me. I'm doing the best I can, all right? So, in the meantime, I'm going to let you go. Post your questions, and I'll talk to you soon.